Welcome to the first nugget in the CMMC compliance readiness course here at CBT Nuggets. So what are we going to talk about? Well, in this nugget, we're going to talk about what CMMC is, why it's necessary, who's in charge of it, some of the standards that are included in CMMC, and we're also going to take a look at the official website and documentation to get started. So let's go ahead and jump in. All right, so CMMC, the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, what is it? That's the first question we're going to answer. So the answer is right here. This nice lady down here tells us it is a DoD cybersecurity framework that is key. Framework, and of course DoD. And it's to help ensure that the DIB, that's our Defense Industrial Base, and all you out there know there, those are the companies providing support and services to the DoD. So contractors, right? Absolutely. Okay. And the goal is for CMMC to make sure that the DIB contractors meet a specific level of cybersecurity standards. So why? Why? That's the big question. And the answer is bad guys. That's right, because they are out there. Those bad actors are out there, and they're continuously attacking companies, right? They're after the secrets, government secrets, DoD sensitive information. They're after intellectual property, of course, looking to steal that IP. Now, the thing is, the DoD, the government, military, they all follow the standards, right? They have their own rules that they follow. However, the supporting contractors for the DIB basically need to meet a certain level of security, and it's based on the type of information being handled by them. And we're going to get into all that. But that's why it's there. It's to make sure that the DIB is going to be able to stand up to those attackers and provide reasonable cybersecurity protection. So that's why this is important, because these folks out here, the bad guys, those attackers, they're using AI. They're getting smarter. They're getting more cunning, and they've got lots of backing. Those nation-state actors out there, plenty of resources to get things done. So now that we know what it is and why we need it, let's talk about who oversees the CMMC program, who manages it. What is my chain of command in this instance? Well, let's start at the top. So at the top, we've got the DoD's CIO, Chief Information Officer, and they oversee the program. So what they do is provide oversight, which is basically the governance of the program. And they are overall responsible for implementing and enforcing CMMC. So all you folks out there know that overall responsible, that's going to go to the top, and that's why it's the DoD CIO. I love those acronyms. All right, super. So who's next? Well, next we have the CMMC Program Management Office, and that is who actually administers the CMMC program. All right, super. So now that we know who's in the middle, who's the boots on the ground? Well, that would be the Cyber AB, just like that. And this is formerly known as the CMMC accreditation body. Okay, so again, this is going to be our boots on the ground, folks. These are going to be implementing and overseeing the CMMC ecosystem. So I'll put that up here. CMMC ecosystem. So these are the folks making it happen. So here we see our chain of command, if you will. So now let's talk about what CMMC focuses on protecting. Okay, and it's aimed at protecting two specific types of data, FCI and CUI. Now, FCI, let's talk about these, is information, it's really not intended for public release. Okay, it's provided by or generated for the government, all right, and it's under a contract to develop or deliver a product or service. Now, FCI. This is contract information. So when we're talking about the contract, so we're talking about the contract between the DoD and the prime, which is the primary contractor, it's going to have some information in it. Within that contract, of course, it does lots of information. Some of that is sensitive information. So we need to protect FCI data and CUI data. So FCI is related to the contract, information that's in the contract that's sensitive. Now, CUI is different. CUI is more sensitive than FCI. Okay, so let's talk about CUI. Now, again, sensitive information. And it is unclassified but sensitive to the government and may be provided by the government or generated by a contractor on behalf of the government. So either one of these, FCI or CUI, the data that we're trying to protect could be coming from the government or the contractor is generating it for the government. Either way. So we know now FCI and CUI are the two types of data that we're concerned about and we need to protect. The FCI comes from data in the contract that's sensitive. CUI isn't in the contract necessarily, but is unclassified but very sensitive data to the government, and we need to protect that as the DIB. All right, super. So now let's jump out and take a look at the official CMMC website and just tool around a little bit and take a look. All right, here we are. We are at dodcio.defense.gov/CMMC/about. And you'll see right here, this is the Chief Information Officer, CIO, of the Department of War, previously Department of Defense. Who knows if it'll go back. But I will say in the course, I just use DoD for everything because the name changes and such. We're sticking with DoD throughout the course. All right, so under the CMMC tab, we have the About, and that's the page we're on right now. But there's also resource documentation, FAQs. If you need to contact the folks at CMC, you can do that through here. FAQs are great because it helps you to, we'll just jump over there real quick, take a look at this. And you can see all these questions that are being asked and answered. So you could just search through here for certain key terms that you're interested in. So let's go back here. So here's our About page again. And let's go ahead and scroll down here. And I'm not going to read through all this. I just want to give you this URL so you have it. And we'll just quickly go over this site. So it talks about CMMC, about how it's a 3-tiered model. You can see here on the right. If we scroll down, we talk about FCI and CUI that we just discussed in the last slide. And then the 3 tiers here, and they go into each one and what's required and such. And then go on down here and we talk about more information. And again, we're going to go through all this stuff in the course, so you don't have to go read this stuff right now, okay? Just giving you some resources. Now, I do want to go over here to the resource documentation. This is a page you will be familiar with. You're going to be on it a lot because it has a lot of documentation, especially when we go through the different levels. We've got scoping guides, and we're going to talk about scoping and self-assessments and all this stuff. Talk about different standards. A lot of resources on here, and we'll be using some of these throughout the course. So now that we know where this is, you're going to stick this in your pocket because you're going to want to use that as you go through this compliance journey. All right, super. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the 3 different standards that are part of CMMC. All right, so what we're going to start with here is the CMMC reference standard FAR 52, here we go, I'm going to put a little box around it, .204-21. So this is basic safeguarding of covered contractor information systems. So this is your contractor's information systems and what are covered. So we have to safeguard this information. So what we have here is a standard, and the standard outlines, actually in this instance, 15 different security controls or security requirements. And we're going to talk about those as we get into the course. And there's 15 of them that need to be met, and all of them must be met. There's no options here at this stage because actually this is level 1, or you might hear me call it tier 1, but it's level 1 of the CMMC. There's 3 levels as we saw when we were on the primary website. And this is the bottom level. This is the lowest level. And it has 15 different security requirements that have to be fulfilled. And we're going to go over that stuff, so don't worry about it too much yet. We're just kind of getting introduced to everybody right now. And that includes the standards. Then, when we get up to level 2 of the CMMC, we come across NIST SP 800-171 Rev 2. Okay? And it is protecting CUI. Look at that. CUI, Controlled Unclassified Information in non-federal systems and organizations. Non-federal, meaning it's not a federal agency or system or organization. It's its own thing. It's a contractors out there, the DIB. So what we're talking about here is this standard. And here there's 110 different security controls you got to have in place. Okay? So 110 of those controls are in there. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and pull up the NIST 800-171 Rev 2 and take a look at it real quick. All right, here we are on csrc.nist.gov. I just went out and Googled NIST SP 800-171 Rev 2, and it brings me here. So this is the NIST page. Super cool. Now, here's what I want to show you, though. You can come down here, and you can access the standard right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in another tab, or you can download a copy. But over here, supplemental materials. These are going to come in super handy, folks. This is your security requirements spreadsheet, and this is just XLS format for your Excel versus CSV. There's also CUI plan of action template and a CUI SSP template. So this is for your POAM, plan of action, and milestones. And we're going to get into all that stuff. So right now, again, we're just introducing you to the ideas of these various components of CMMC and the standards and documentation where you can find them. Okay, so we're actually going to pull these up later on and use them. But for now, actually, let's jump over to the standard. And here we go. So let's go ahead and scroll down here on the left, trying to get to where we're into the standard here. Let's scroll on down quite a bit. Okay, here we go. So here you go. This is the standard, and there are, again, 110 different controls that have to be addressed, and all of them have an ID number, and it's like this one here, 3.2.2, ensure that personnel are trained to carry out their assigned information security related duties and responsibilities. So you have to make sure that's being done. So that's one of the 110. Okay, and that's just an example. All right, so as you can see, we can scroll through here, and there's just a bunch of them in there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump back here. So that was your NIST SP 800-171 Rev 2. We've got one more to look at, and that is going to be for our Level 3 CMMC. And that's the NIST SP 800-172. Previously, if I go back, we were looking at SP 800-171. Now we're going to 172. And this is enhanced security requirements for protecting CUI. All right, so it's a supplemental to 800-171. Okay, and in the standard, there are actually 39 security requirements in there, but you only need to meet 24 of them for Level 3. So the 24 are outlined in the CMMC assessment guide for Level 3. So if I go back here real quick to our website, here we go. And then I go back to over here to our CMMC, and this is our documentation. If you look down here, we see a scoping guide and an assessment guide for our CMMC Level 3. So what we do is open up this one right here, and if we scroll down the table of contents, you're going to come down here, and right here, these are requirement descriptions. This is where you're going to find those 24 different requirements that are in the NIST SP 800-172 standard. All right, so there you go. And we're going to get into this as we go through the course. So let's jump back here real quick and wrap this up. So now we know what CMMC is, who's responsible for it, what it impacts as far as our DIB folks, and that there are 3 different levels and 3 different standards associated with those levels. So there you go. That is our introductory to the CMMC. Next up, we're going to talk about the 3 tiers of CMMC. So I'll see you there shortly. Thanks for watching, and subscribe here to get the latest from CBT Nuggets. And if you're interested in IT career or learning more about IT in general, hey, swing by cbtnuggets.com and sign up for a free trial.